Thank you. Good morning. So my name is Nikki Black. I'm a lawyer, and I am the legal technology evangelist at MyCase, where we provide practice management software for lawyers. Legal technology evangelist. Yep, that's my official title. You're probably wondering, what the heck does a legal technology evangelist do? Part of what I do is I advise internally at MyCase on product development and marketing, but a large part of what I do is educate lawyers about the intersection of law and technology, and that's really my passion. And I do that by writing at different outlets like Above the Law, the ABA Journal, the MyCase blog, and other outlets, and speaking at conferences like this to help lawyers understand how they can use technology in their practices and how technology is affecting the practice of law. And today I'm going to be doing that in the context of artificial intelligence. I'm going to be talking about how you can use artificial intelligence and other tools to automate your practice, and also how artificial intelligence is going to affect the practice of law. But in order to do that, we first need to talk about, get an understanding of what artificial intelligence is. What is it and why does it matter? And in order to understand why it matters, we need to understand what it is. The problem with that is artificial intelligence, there isn't a clear definition amongst the experts, but for our purposes, we're going to use a rather general definition that it's essentially the creation of intelligent machines that work and react like human beings. Two other important concepts are knowledge engineering and machine learning. Knowledge engineering essentially means that in order for the machines to understand, providing the machines with input so that they can understand relationships between concepts and objects in the world. And then machine learning, which essentially allows the machines to learn without human supervision. And so this concept of machines learning without human supervision, this is where we run into sort of the big debate with AI. Why does AI matter, and what's going to happen with AI? So are there any Battlestar Galactica or Terminator fans here? Anyone? You know this dystopia. This is what Elon Musk and the late Stephen Hawking they are particularly concerned about, this concept that if we don't regulate, we're going to end up with some tremendous problems with these machines. We need regulations that will control how these machines develop. And then you have this concept of utopia, this idea that these machines are going to make our lives so much better that you're going to walk into your house, the machine's going to recognize you, your home is going to make the environment perfect for you, know your routine, simplify your life, automatic car, sort of a Jetsons concept. And on that side, you have Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook saying, Elon, you're worrying too much. I'm not sure which of them is correct, but that's why AI matters. There's a lot of both negative and positive potential there. The thing is, artificial intelligence is in its infancy. The reason you're hearing so much buzz about it is it's coming to fruition right now. Artificial intelligence, all of the tools and the technologies needed to truly make it work are coming to fruition, and now they're able to create software that actually uses artificial intelligence that gets things done in some amazing ways across all different industries, including the legal industry. But because it's in its infancy, one of the essential elements that's missing is trust. You can't trust the output of, if you don't trust the output of the machines, you're not going to use the machines. And that's definitely a problem, as I'll talk about a little later in my talk, when it comes to artificial intelligence and the legal profession. But guess what? Before we even get to what artificial intelligence may do in the legal profession, you don't necessarily need artificial intelligence to automate your law practice. In 2018, there are tools and software out there that already allow you to automate some really mundane, tedious aspects of practicing law. So I want to talk about those to give you some takeaway ideas about how you can automate your practice without diving into AI. And here are 3 different ways I'm going to cover. First, you can automate billing, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, whether it's billing and time tracking, invoicing, collecting from clients, automate to-dos, tasks, deadlines, and and sharing those with your staff. And you can automate document assembly, whether it's pleadings, forms, letters, and there's different functions of that. So first, let's talk about billing. Billing's a really important part of practicing law, because if you don't invoice your clients, you're not going to get paid. And we all want to get paid for the hard work that we do. So when it comes to billing, you have 2 different options. There's some standalone tools, or there are tools that are integrated into full-fledged billing systems and full-fledged law practice management systems. So when it comes to time tracking, this is a way that is particularly useful for any lawyers that bill by the hour. You can enter your billable time on mobile devices, and you can track that time. So when you go to the courthouse and you're waiting for a client to be called, you can answer emails, and then you run into co-counsel on another case in the hallway and you talk to them. When you get on the courthouse steps, you can bill for all that time that you spent in the courthouse so that you don't sit there at the end of the day like I used to when I was an associate in a law firm with a blank timesheet trying to piece together what you did that entire day. And so when you enter your billable time by the hour from your smartphone or other mobile devices or on your computer, what happens is, at the very least, if you're using standalone software, you've captured all that time and you haven't lost it, and then you can transfer it into your billing system. Or if you're using a tool that integrates with your billing system or your law practice management software, as soon as you enter it, it's automatically associated with that case, so that when you get to the second part, invoicing, when you pull up an invoice for a particular client, it's all going to be listed there, and you're not going to have to enter all that time. And I used to have a whole back and forth. I'd submit the timesheet, my secretary would send it back, there'd be mistakes, send it back, she'd give it back to me, finally it'd be approved, and then it'd go off into the bowels of the office to be entered into the time system, and someone would send an invoice out. But with this, it's all done in one spot. And then payment and collection. You can send invoices online. Your clients can make credit card payments. So you send up the invoices with a click of a button. Your clients receive it. There's a link. They can make a credit card payment right from there. And then you can have automatic reminders sent to them too. So if they don't pay in 30 days, reminders automatically sent out. So all of those tools are automated for you, and you don't have to do it. So that's one way that you can automate your practice today, using tools that are already available that doesn't involve artificial intelligence. Then there are tasks and to-dos. That's another important thing, tracking deadlines, making sure you don't miss statute of limitations. There are all sorts of tools out there that let you do that. There's standalone to-do apps. And then there are task management tools built into law practice management software. And so basically, you can keep track of your to-dos, you can assign tasks to employees, and you can track deadlines, filing dates, statutes of limitations. And one neat thing that some software will do is it's called workflows. So every time you get a PI case in the door or a criminal defense matter in the door or any other particular type of case in the door that has regular deadlines throughout the case that are triggered by whether it's the service of the complaint or the arraignment of the defendant, once that date's entered in, all the other subsequent dates where you have deadlines like serve discovery demands are automatically calendared. So 30 days out, it'll just appear right on your calendar once you apply that workflow on top of the case as it comes in the door. So that's another way that you can automate your practice, is to automate to-dos and tasks using software. And the last way is document assembly. And you can do document assembly right in your word processing system, and that's something that people have been doing for years now. And what that does is it just has all these fields that are generated that then have to be filled in manually. But it makes it much easier to recreate these documents over and over. And then if you use more sophisticated software or practice management software or other types of software that allow you to overlay this information, what happens is when you have these templates, they're automatically filled in with the client information. So if it says client name, date of retainer, or whatever, that information is automatically filled into the document from your system. So that's another way that you can save time and create efficiency and automate your practice without using artificial intelligence. So those are 3 ways you can do that, but let's move on to, will robots replace lawyers? Because let's talk about how artificial intelligence is actually going to impact the practice of law. Because it will. Mark my words, you're going to find just as mobile computing and just as social media and just as cloud computing have impacted the practice of law, so too will artificial intelligence. When I was talking about social media in 2008, and the book I co-authored came out in 2010, lawyers didn't really think it was going to affect their practices. Now it's a regular part of litigation. Cloud computing, the book I wrote on cloud computing was published by the ABA in 2012, and lawyers didn't think cloud computing was something they'd ever use, and now most lawyers use cloud computing, and some don't realize it, but probably all of you in this room do use it. And a lot of them use it happily and know that they're using it. But so, will robots replace lawyers? Robots aren't going to replace lawyers, but AI is going to reduce the mundane aspects of practicing law, and it's going to take some of that off your plate so that you can focus on what you really thought the law was going to be about, the higher level thinking, the analytical thinking. AI is going to help you get there. And there are a couple of different ways that artificial intelligence is going to affect the practice of law, and there's some really exciting programs, software programs that are already out there, and they have a ton of potential, and I just wanted to cover a few of those today. First of all, there's legal research. And with legal research, there are some really interesting things that are going on. First of all, one thing that Westlaw is doing, and just by way of disclosure, I co-author a book for Thomson Reuters. That's not why I'm talking about them. I have no skin in the game in terms of this, but I spoke with executives at Lexis and Thomson Reuters, and they're doing some really interesting things with legal research. And one thing that Westlaw is doing is when you create a folder, you're researching an issue and you put all of those cases in a folder on a particular legal issue, the system scans that folder and it identifies legal issues that are in commonalities in legal issues through those documents that you've saved. And based upon that analysis, it serves up new information that it thinks will be relevant to you. So it's this really interesting way of sort of getting into your research and providing you with information in a way that's never been done before, based upon the machine analyzing the stuff that you're saving into that folder. So that's a really interesting way that the bigger players are using AI in legal research. And then another interesting thing that's being done is Casetext is a company that is doing this. They have a tool called Kara. And what Kara does is you upload a brief, and then that brief is compared. It looks at all the sites, and then based upon the information in that brief, it provides you with other information that it thinks you might need. It's a similar concept to what Thomson Reuters is doing, but based upon what is in that brief, and it provides you with other relevant sites and information based upon the sites that you have in your current brief. So it's a great way to glean information that's associated with what you're already researching and is relevant in that brief. So you're going to find a lot of headway with when it comes to legal research. And then another really interesting area is contract analysis. What LawGeeks is a company out of Israel, and what they do is you upload a contract, covenant not to compete, for example, and it lets you know, first of all, are there any outlying, it compares it to all these other similar contracts in its database, and it tells you if there's any outlier provisions that appear in this contract that typically don't appear in these contracts, and it also tells you if there are provisions missing that often appear in these contracts. So there's a lot of contract analysis software out there that's going to start becoming used really helpful. And finally, data analytics. There's our artificial intelligence tools. Lex Machina is an example that was just acquired by LexisNexis recently. Analyzes past conduct of parties, judges, and predicts outcomes. So it helps you in litigation make decisions for your case. So at the end of the day, I think it's really important to realize, don't fear automation, don't fear the robot, don't fear AI. Automation's your friend, and artificial intelligence is not going to replace lawyers. It's going to replace some aspects of lawyering, but it's the mundane aspects that you really want off your plate anyway. So embrace AI, embrace change. At the end of the day, it's going to make the practice of law easier and make you a better lawyer. Thank you.